is Yazid. He is from the technology practice group, who is responsible for technology and innovation. So recently, they've been looking at technologies such as mobile, data, and Internet of Things. So let's all give a round of applause for Yazid. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Assalamualaikum, everyone. So glad to see the full house today. Everyone in the back can hear me well. I need to use another microphone. You just let me know. Okay. So today I'm here to talk about a topic called Intrapreneurship. And there's a subtitle there, How Can You Become a Corporate Pirate? So I'm going to explain a little bit about what that exactly means to be a corporate pirate. But before I get into that, I'd like to tell a story, okay? A jolly story. So in the 80s, there was a IT company. And within this IT company, they had one very successful product. And it was a revolution in the industry at the time. And it had, out of this organization, it had one leader who was very charismatic, a very influential leader. He wasn't the CEO, but a very charismatic and influential leader nonetheless. So one of the things that he does is he's considered to be quite a disruptive kind of guy. He gets what he wants. He doesn't take no for an answer. One of the things that out of the stories that he used to do was there was this one very talented programmer who was working at his desk. So this programmer, he worked on the currently successful product. So he was minding his own business. Suddenly, this leader comes up to him and he says, "What are you working on at the moment?" So he tells him, "Yeah, I'm working on this and this. I'm trying to do a new version of it." So he says, "Okay, you're working for me now, so drop whatever you're doing." So he said, "Okay, give me at least a day or two so that I can wrap up my work, so that I can hand it over to the next person to continue." He said, "Why would you want to do that? If you do that, you're just going to be wasting your time, and whatever that I'm going to get you to work on is going to be the future of the company, and it's going to be the future of the industry. So come work for me." So he was sort of shocked. So the next thing that he did, he walked around the desk, he pulled the power cord out of the wall socket, so he lost all the work that he was doing at the time. There was no autosave back then, I suppose. So he then dragged his computer, power cord and all, it was dragging on the floor, put it in the back of his car. He asked him to get into the car as well. Drove a couple of blocks down, so it was a big campus. This company had a big campus, so it went a couple of blocks down to one of the new buildings. So he walked in, found this empty desk, dropped the computer there, plugged it in, and he said, "This is your workstation now. You're working for me." So of course the guy was a little bit shocked, but he said, "Okay, I'll play along." So he noticed that there were two other guys there. He asked them, "Hey, what's going on? What are we doing?" So he said, "Yeah, this leader came to us and he asked us who we thought would be good for the team. So we told him about you." And he said, yeah, he came over to me and he asked me whether or not I was good. Because he said, "I heard you were good, but I wasn't so sure. So are you really that good?" But yeah, so that's how it worked. That was one of the things that he did. He didn't take no for an answer. He was very assertive, and he recruited more people into this team. And one of the phrases that he used to say, he said, why join the Navy when you can be a pirate?" And this stuck with the guys that joined this team because they felt that spirit of piracy in a way. So even to the point where one of the things that one of the guys from the team did, there was a designer in the team. So they went to the designer and then they said, can you design us a pirate flag with their company logo on it?" So she said, "Okay, sure, why not?" So she did it. And they scouted out the building and everything, this new building that I was working in. They went up to the roof at night when there were no guards and tried to check to see if they would be able to go up there. On a Sunday night, they went up there. They found a piece of a long metal rod, which was left over from the construction. They found that was suitable as a flagpole. They raised the flag up to that flagpole, and then they had it up there hoisted. And next day, Monday morning, everyone came in and saw on top of the building there was a big pirate flag waving around, and that became their identity. So they were the pirates of their company. So they were the intrapreneurs, as you would say. So this guy, Gifford Pinchot III, he's an entrepreneur and an author. He's the guy who actually coined the term intrapreneur. And the way that he describes it is that intrapreneurship, or entrepreneur, are dreamers who do. So it essentially means people who exhibit entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurial qualities, wanting to fill a need, wanting to make an impact, but doing it while in an established organization or an established business. Now, some people think that if you want to make a huge impact, you think that you can only do that by being an entrepreneur, by crossing the threshold, if you will, into that entrepreneurship, risking all and being able to make your big impact, big splash in the industry. But time and time has shown that there's another route that you can take, and that's for you to be an intrapreneur. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you being in a company, you can't make a difference, that you can't fill a need, and you can't start a new business venture while in your company. So what are some of the things that you can do to become this corporate pirate? Yeah? First thing, you have to keep asking why. Now, why would you want to ask why? Okay, they say when you keep asking why, there's even a method which was developed by a guy who worked in Toyota. It's called the 5 whys. They say that if you ask 5 whys in succession, you should be able to reach to the root cause of any problem that you're trying to find out. So when you ask why, you find problems, you unearth problems, and you ask more whys so that you find out what the root causes are. And when you find out what the root causes are, it gives you insight in terms of how you want to fix those problems. Now, fixing problems is what entrepreneurs do, and similarly is what intrapreneurs do as well. The next thing is to own it. So it's not just enough to identify problems and complain about them, and that's not being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur means you need to own those problems and whatever solutions that you come up for those problems. So follow through with them and own it. So another thing, when you do then have a problem that you've identified and you found out that there's an idea to address this problem, sometimes what you'll find is that you can't do it alone. So you need to find a way to rally others to your cause, to bring other people into your venture, similar to what that influential leader did in the company and brought people on board to work on a new product. Okay. Now, rallying others to your cause is a good way for you to potentially also build your influential skills and your skills of leading, really. Leading, motivating people so that they can believe in your cause. Painting a higher purpose, so to get people to believe in your vision. Now, this is important whether you're an entrepreneur or eventually want to become an entrepreneur, so that when you do become an entrepreneur, you already have some of those leadership skills. In fact, if you look at the history of intrapreneurship, there are a lot of really successful examples of products that started out as an entrepreneurial venture. Now, if I mention the Post-it, if I mention the Facebook like button, or if I even mention Gmail, which all you guys probably use these things every single day. All these things came out of intrapreneurial ventures from within companies. So there's a lot of impact that can happen even though they start out from inside a company from one guy usually. Okay, sometimes when you need to rally others to your cause, you also need to get their permission. Which brings us to this one, which is know when to break the rules. So sometimes being an entrepreneur, you're in a established organization, there are processes, there's bureaucracy. Sometimes you won't be able to get what you need. So you need to understand what the rules are so you know how to break them. Now, when I say break the rules, I don't just mean go out there and just go crazy and break things, right? As important as it is to know which rules to break, it's also important to know which rules not to break. Yeah. So this has to do with what's your moral compass. What drives you to go for those ventures that you want to go forward with? And if we take the metaphor of a pirate, even pirates used to have a pirate code. Yeah, so a code of conduct to make sure that they had honor amongst themselves, you know. So usually for entrepreneurs, the moral compass for them is doing good for the company. So they would always do whatever is best for the company. Now, other people might not believe in that. So, you know, naysayers, they may not exactly believe in your vision. But if you are true to the moral compass that you know in your heart that it's good for the company, do it. Yeah. So those people who probably don't believe. One of the reasons why. The reasons why some people don't believe in the cause of entrepreneurs is because sometimes they work on products which may potentially overtake existing products. So what that means is, typically in the industry, that term is called cannibalism. When you build a product which takes the sales or the market segment of an existing product. So naturally, in an established company, some people get scared of these kind of things, you know. So the number 5, getting things done. So entrepreneurs, they are by very nature productive beings. So they know how to get things done. You're not an entrepreneur if you can't follow through and get your venture done. So you're just someone who doesn't get things done. But entrepreneurs, they know how to get things done, and they get them done fast. So that brings us to the next point. Failing fast and pivoting faster. So what this means is that you shouldn't plan to fail exactly, but if you do find that your venture fails, know how to pivot fast. Learn from the mistakes that you did in the first failure, and pivot from it. So make sure that you just learn from those mistakes that made you fail the first time. So entrepreneurs, they're very good with doing this. And pivoting is something that entrepreneurs are very famous for doing as well. Like some very famous products now, like Instagram, they didn't start out as products which we use them as we use them now. They used to be other things. Twitter also wasn't used exactly as a 140 character tweets of text. It used to be other things. And then they found that those didn't work, so they pivoted and found something that didn't work, and they found success from it. Similarly, for entrepreneurs, this is something that they need to know how to do as well. And the very last thing, even though you get things done, maybe you fail and you had to pivot, and then you did find your success, the very important thing that you need to do as an entrepreneur is to look beyond the horizon. So entrepreneurs, like entrepreneurs, they're never happy with whatever that they have now. So they're never happy with the current market share. They're not ever happy with the current product, the sales volumes, what kind of audiences that you're targeting. Well, sometimes they are, but usually the really good ones are the ones who look beyond and try to find out what's next. You know, what's the next problem that you can solve? What's the next business venture that you can get into? And what's the next unicorn that you can find? Yeah. So back to that jolly story about the guy who pulled out a computer off the wall and brought the guy into his car, drove down a couple of blocks into a new building, set up a new team, had a pirate flag hoisted up into the top of the building, and worked on a new product for that. So if I show you the flag, I think you should immediately identify what company it is. So that's the flag that was hoisted on top of the building, and with a big apple logo on one of the eyes of the skull and bones. And if you look at this picture, there's that flag hanging up on a wall, and that's actually Steve Jobs sitting in front of the piano. He's the guy, that leader, that aggressive, that very charismatic leader who pulled people off from other teams and into another building to work on other things. That was the guy. And what were they building at this time? So actually this team is the original Macintosh team. So they were put together to work on the Macintosh. At that time, the de facto product from Apple was called the Apple II. But that got overtook by the Mac when it got completed. In fact, more than that, it's lasted more than 30 years. Last year, they celebrated their 30th anniversary of the Mac. It's still in sales. It still has a small, compared to Microsoft Windows market share, but still a very healthy share of the market. And they have healthy revenue as well. And if you look at that, there's a guy in red in the middle of the crowd. He's that guy who was working at that workstation who got pulled out into the new building. So his name was Andy Hertzfeld. Yeah, so he was one of the original team for the Mac. So out of that act of intrapreneurship, they managed to build a new product that replaced their existing successful product, which lasted till now, 30 years, enjoying healthy revenues for the company. And it's only because there are these people like Steve Jobs, who unfortunately, he's already passed away at the time of this image. So a lot of the people said, the most important guy who should be here, unfortunately isn't at the moment. So people like him, people like the guy in red, and all these other people on the team, and the lady who created the pirate flag, she actually created the icons for the original Mac. So her name's Susan. So all these people, these are the kind of people that we need within companies to express their entrepreneurial spirits and bring the company forward. Thank you. Q&A, people.